guess everything in life seemed a bit normal after that. Um, Not really normal. After that year of hell, I kind of died inside. Um, my time kind of stopped. I stayed an 8-year old for a very long time. Even though I got older, it still just didn't completely, like, I didn't really mature until I was like an adult. And even that took a little while. Um, when I was in school, like fourth grade, all I did was sleep. I don't even really remember. I remember tidbits here and there where I would wake up, but no one liked me because I was sleeping. No one talked to me, hung out with me. Really, I was a loner. Um, I had my brother, but he was a jerk. You know, still is to a point, but I didn't really have much going on at that point. I think I was in regular ed at that time, and most of the kids just ignored me. They really hated having to be part of a group with me because all I did was sleep. But um, in the middle of the year of hell, my mom ended up joining a church, which you later find out is a cult. Yay, Christian cult! Uh, Very weird, very strange. Um, you get older and you find out they have rules and blah blah blah. They think they're the one true church, and that if you're not part of their church, you're going to hell. You're damned, all of you, sinners. Yeah, I believed that bullshit. I believed it for a very long time. And even though I wasn't part of the church sometimes, I always was worried that I was going to hell. Now, when I think about it, I'm not really sure if there is a heaven, if there is a hell. Kind of like the do-over thing, reincarnation in a sense. When you're done here, when you die, your soul just gets reborn. And it stays on that track for the most part. And how you would explain ghosts, I think, is those people that were sick and tired of being on the train. They hopped off, but they can't get back on now. So that's why they try possessing you, because I've had that issue. My grandparents' house is haunted. Completely. It's like a freaking train station, literally. It's lots of them there. Before my mom and them moved into the house, when they were seeing the house, they already bought it, but they were getting it. So they were looking inside of it, and they found Ouija boards, melted candles, people using it as a haunted house, and so there are doors that were open in that house. Lots and lots of doors that were never shut. It is not a wonderful place to live in. A few years back, I was sleeping, and I had this weird dream. I was laying on the couch, and my mom was behind me, and she was going through the couch and melding into my body, and it freaked me out, and I woke up. Here's the problem. My whole body was numb. Completely numb. I couldn't move at all. I was having a hard time breathing, felt like I was suffocating, and I couldn't see, I couldn't hear anything, couldn't smell anything, nothing. It was like I was just, yeah. So, I did the only thing that I knew what to do. I started praying. I started praying like no one's business. Next thing I know, my body's starting to warm up. I'm starting to be able to wiggle my toes. You start to hear the music, because I had a radio right next to me playing. So I started hearing the music. And I could see the nightlight across the room, which couldn't be able to see before. Now I can. I was finally able to move. So I got some clothes, ran downstairs, and freaked out. I ended up sleeping on the living room couch for a bit. it doesn't really matter where I slept in that house. They were there. You sit on your computer at night, feeling like someone's standing over you, watching you. You might not see them, but they're there. They're breathing down your neck. I once saw a cat in the house. We didn't have any pets. It knocked a Tupperware off the counter. I was more susceptible when I was younger. I used to sleep on the front porch, and there was 1, 2, 3, 4. It was all the whole windows were. The whole walls were windows, except for the door. And my mom's like, "What's wrong?" Because I was freaking out. I'm like, can't sleep because everybody's staring at me. And mind you, the windows were covered with people looking at me, and they were more than 8 feet up off the ground. So kind of crazy. I got more stories like that we can do later on, but we were in this church for a while, about 10 years, in this cult. I grew up in it. I didn't know anything like what my mom was dealing with at the time because I wasn't really I didn't see everything. When you grow up in it, you don't see all the pressure, all the stuff they put on the parents and the adults and the other people into it, you know. Sometimes you feel it and sometimes you end up dealing with it, but I never actually knew what was going on. When I was 14, I had dyed my hair green for the first time, and everyone put pressure on my mom to make me change my hair back because I was letting in Satan by having green hair. I was sinning, I was making her look bad, and I was making everybody else look bad. And it was a big hoopla. My mom ended up forcing me to change my hair back to normal. A couple years later, she was like, it's your hair, you do your own thing. And I did. And I was purple, and I think I did pink, and a couple other different things later on. But yeah, they did stuff like that. I changed my hair purple, and this guy I grew up with and I knew for a long time, Chris Brennan, he looked at me and goes, "You're a devil worshiper. You're going to hell," because I had purple hair. I had purple hair and I was a devil worshiper. Is that normal? I don't think so. They set me up with different big brothers all the time. One of them he dealt with because he was abused when he was a kid. He was molested by a neighbor, and he grew up and became a male prostitute. And he loved to tell me stories. And then when he was done telling his stories about all his sexual fantasies and things that happened to him, men he was with, and blah blah blah, he would want me to tell him about how I was assaulted. And at that time, I couldn't remember the rape at all. Now I have flashes. I've tried to remember, and I sometimes can, and it's not really the greatest feeling, and I don't really want to remember. Just the after results of it just messed me up. If it messed me up that much, I don't really think I want to know every detail. But he wanted to, and when I wouldn't tell him anything, because I didn't remember anything, he used to get mad and angry and act like I'm holding out on him. I remember one time we went to the Redwood Forest, and he wanted more information from me. Told me about his sexual exploits. I didn't want to know none of that. I just wanted to hang out and do stuff, but no. So I ended up having to go to the bathroom. I was sitting on the toilet, and he was peeking in through the cracks trying to watch me. Pervert. I'd go to his house and hang out. I never wanted to go. I was always forced to going. And he'd be fooling around with his wife in front of me, like borderline having sex on a living room couch right next to me. You know, groping her and feeling her up. And she didn't really want to do that, but she kind of just sat through it while he did it. Very awkward trying to watch X-Files, and this guy's like, No. I remember I have a lot of gaps from going to his place. I remember he had a secret phone call. So if I wanted to call him, I had to let the phone ring twice, hang up, wait a little bit, and then call back. That way he knew it was me calling. That's not weird. No, not at all. There was one time we went to Monterey. It was his nieces and his wife. And when we got back to the house, they were starting to watch a movie, and he made me go into his office with them because I was supposed to work out with them. He wanted me to work out. And in order to work out, I had to take my shirt off because men don't work out in shirts. Men work out with their shirts off. I've been to a gym. Lots of men have shirts on. Tank tops. They're usually covered. I don't really see many half-naked men running around the gyms unless they're in the pool. In the locker room, they're totally naked, and I'm really trying to avoid all that. I change in the stalls. But it was embarrassing, and he was always overly touchy-feely, and he made me lift weights, and he had me benching. I forget how much, but he had me benching. But he wasn't spotting me, he was standing over me. Not behind me, but in front of me, watching me. And then when I couldn't lift it up, and the weight started to fall off, he started yelling at me, got angry, didn't want me breaking his equipment or something. I don't remember anything after that. Yes, the door was shut and locked. But I don't remember anything at all after that. That's about it. I remember one time I had to spend the night at his house, and the next day I had to take a shower. Luckily there was a lock on the door because someone was trying to get in while I was in there. Mind you, I took a quick shower and got out. I don't remember too much about Wyatt Herb. Yep, his last name was Herb, and his first name was Wyatt, and he's a pedophile. I do remember one time I bleached my hair blonde, and this was years later. I was in high school now. Before I was in middle school, about middle school or so. So this is high school, and he laid into me, told me I was a faggot, and I looked like a homosexual, and I looked like all that type of stuff. It wasn't encouraging, it wasn't uplifting, it was just horrible. A couple weeks later, he's running around with bleach blonde hair. Weird. Needless to say, I had no idea. Oh, and mind you, all these episodes that ever happened with him, there's a few more later on, I told people. My mom had a friend, David Little. He knew about the abuse in the church. It turns out in that cult, if you are a predator, you will be given leadership and you'll raise ranks into the church. Yeah, he got leadership. And there was one time I was in the back of the church, since I didn't care anymore. I wasn't really part of it. I was just going because my mom needed someone to go with her. And he saw me. I was sitting there looking at my Pokemon cards. I trade with the other people, the kids that were there and whatnot. But it was like, he grabbed my arm, in the church where people should be seeing. They were fellowshipping, so no one saw it. And he's like, "You're embarrassing me. Put those away." Blah blah blah. Like as if I matter to him, but more of a dominating type thing. I think now that I know later on and everything, it was more of a domination thing for him. For me, I didn't understand it. And there was another time, and I talked to Dave about it, and when he talked to him, nothing happened to him. Bros before everyone else, I guess, and they took care of him. There was another time where I was at the church. It was a different church, in a different sector, in Alameda, and I was just kicking back, chilling on the grass, relaxing. And he put one hand on my throat, one knee, and his knee in my gut. And of course, again, I was embarrassing him by laying down. All the people that weren't Christians were watching me. They were talking, and he felt embarrassed. So he had to do that. I wish I was carrying a knife back then, because I would have stuck him. And at that point in time in my life, I would have stuck him. I remember this one time, though. It was earlier on. He was wrestling with me and my brother. And I put all my weight on him, and I almost broke his leg. Almost. It's a shame I didn't. Okay, this is getting pretty long. So, that's part 2 of the story of my life. I'm continuing on later. Hopefully we can get to some good parts, maybe. It's a little out of order, but it's hard to keep a lot of these things in order. I will do this again later. Thank you for watching and staying. And you know all the stuff that you should do, or want to do, or can do. And if you have questions, I will talk to you, and I will be open about it. Alright. Till later, or part 3. Dun dun dun.